Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about best tips to do for a good start. It's going to be basically the opposite video of yesterday's mistakes to avoid. Now, these tips are really good and very important in my opinion. That's why I put them here. They're kind of scrambled in terms of like where they are on topic and where you can find them. So refer to the description for the timestamps to browse and check which one is which. That said, a little disclaimer, this is based on the CBT content, so if anything changes, it is what it is on global. Some of these might be fixed or changed in a way that is less annoying. Before we begin, obviously, again, if you have any question, feel free to leave a comment below, or if you're confused about something, or if you have another type of problem related to the game, you can come ask me live at twitch.tv/Jakazin. Now, let's begin. Now, let's start with the first tip, which is using your stamina correctly in the coffee shop. Now, there's a part of the game called the Ark, which is your headquarter. You're basically like the mayor of this place. It's like a flying ship with like civilization on it, which is like with a town on. And some of the activities are really important. One of which is the coffee shop. You go to the coffee shop once a day at least. You can go multiple times, but there's nothing to do. And the tip would be to use your stamina dispenser there. Now there's two type of extra stamina that you can get every day. One stamina is 80 and it's instant and it immediately is given to you in your main stamina. So you can overcap as long as you like immediately use it after, right? In that case. Or you can decide to pack it up. You can pack it up the stamina. It's going to be 60 instead of 80. So you need to be careful on deciding which one you want to do. And so the tip would be to select which one is better for you today, or whatever your time of gaming is. How much time do you have during the day? Are you busy today? You can't play too much today. You don't want to overcap your stamina too much. So it's better to get a packaged one. You can store a bunch of those. I believe it's like 4 or maybe more in the release, or less, hopefully more. And you can get those and leave it there and unpack it whenever you have time to play. So that way you don't overcap too much on stamina. So the tip would be to just, don't mess up the type of coffee so that you have the least amount of stamina spent or overcapped. The next point would be to remember to do the counseling. Now, what is the counseling? The counseling is still in the Ark, and it's called the Epion Center, I believe. Epion. And when you go there, there's like deep trauma thing that you can click. It wasn't available in the CBT, so we don't know what that is. Maybe that helps. But there's also a psychotherapy place where you go and tend to the characters, your combatants that had an issue during the roguelike. Maybe they went into a deep breakdown or something and they need to be fixed. Or maybe you have a glitched save file and you want to clean it. You have 3 usages per day for a proper cleaning. Proper cleaning means that you are cleaning the character properly, you're doing therapy properly, and your glitched save file, which is unusable, will be cleaned as well. So it gets saved, it gets fixed, and now you can use it. So your good build that was bricked before has been saved. Now you can finally use that good save file that you got wherever you need. So if you don't, and if you get too many of these piled up, you might not be able to use your daily tickets on all of them. If you have 7 or 5 or even 4 plus glitched save files, you won't have enough daily tickets to properly clean them. So you would have to either delete them by using the infinite resource, infinite clicks, delete memory option, which has no cap, so you can delete as much as you want, and you will lose the save file most likely. Or you can just wait for the next day, which is not a good thing, is it? So keep that in mind. If you have something to clean, you should do it as soon as possible before you get a glitch save file or before you pile up too many. Moving on to the next point, it would be to don't ignore and try to focus immediately on the growth mission. The growth missions are really easy and really good. Now, the only thing is that the growth mission has multiple levels, and every level gives you a lot of rewards, including pulls and XP for your account and other materials. They also have a level that you need to complete to get to the next page, right? Level 2. Now, level 1, level 2, etc. goes, I believe, until 10 or something like that. It doesn't matter. What matters is the quest that you need to do to complete the page. Now, some of these quests are very niche, are very like specific, and you will never accidentally do them. So don't ignore it too much, because you will probably be stuck on certain levels. Maybe level 1 and level 2, page 1, page 2 is gonna be fine. It tells you to do random shit, like related to the game that you do, like, oh, level a character, equip a weapon, talk to a character, right? You know, okay, well, level them up to 10 or something like that. Do the roguelike twice. That's okay, but when you get to the next pages and later on, the game wants you to explore the more niche, the more specific parts of the game, that if you don't go check what the mission tells you, you will never randomly do it. So keep a track on it, try to clear it as soon as possible. Not too much because of the pools, sure, the pools help, but also because every single quest and even the page completed itself gives you a lot of experience. And you know what it's important in this type of games, when early on, getting your account, your general account level as high as possible, as soon as possible. These type of games have a lot of content, including the end game, locked behind what your account level is, including the cap of your characters. So it's important to do that as soon as possible so that you don't fall behind, and maybe you missed a weekly content that you could have done, but you didn't get to one more level on Sunday, so now you're bricked. You could have done one more week of rewards. Oh, you lost it, you know. If you never know where you are and what you are about to unlock, so it's going to be important to do it as soon as possible, at least, you know, to get more rewards. The next point, it kind of connects to this account criteria, this account strategy, which is consider refreshing stamina. I put it here as a tip. Obviously, if you're free to play, you shouldn't do it, but some people actually want to rush their account to get to the new content, to unlock more content, to have more avenues of rewards that might not be possible at level 10, right? So if you know that you need to be level 30 or 40 on the account to access to the end game, or to access to some weekly that gives you a lot of mats and makes the game completely different, oh, with this in mind, now the game is now generous. Oh, but you need to do it every week or something like that, right? Or maybe for like generous in pools, generous in character building materials. You never know what you're gonna add, what the game is going to give you at certain levels on the account. So consider refreshing stamina. I believe the first 2 refreshes is going to be 50, then the second 2 refreshes is going to be 60, then it's going to be 100, and then I think 8 is max. It might be 150 at the end. Now, I know it's a lot. It's probably like 2 or 3 pulls per day, you know. So maybe don't full refresh, but refresh maybe here and there if you close and you did every daily, so that you may get to a better point on your account and unlock more content for you to justify the spending. So the next point is going to be related to this in a way, and it was about the weekly. Now, the weekly is very limited in the sense that you have 2 bosses, at least in the CBT, and you can only do them 3 times. And they give you a bunch of materials, but it's not nearly enough for, especially for like end game characters. Now, we calculated in the past in the CBT that these characters need 15 of each of those 2 materials. So let's say it's like 15 balls, and then you need 15 wings. Now, the 15 balls and 15 wings, you can only get 3 per week. So it's going to take, I don't know, like a month if they don't change it. So it's important to do not use these materials on characters that you don't like, or characters that you don't know if you like yet. So it's my advice would be to hold on to these materials. You don't need to use them anytime soon. I believe you start using them a little bit at level 30 or 40. I believe a level 30 for the first big node. You don't need that. necessarily. If you don't know what the character is doing, you're not really sure if you like it or not, or maybe you're using this character while you are pulling for the premium one, or you're trying to fish for something else in the beginner banner or in standard banner, don't use your weekly materials because they're very expensive and very gated and rare. You don't want to waste them, okay? Moving on to the next point, which is enable the first talent on every character that you plan on using. The very first talent is very cheap and basically free and enables something that is really important. Now, this node basically on every character, 4-star and 5-star, they all have the same node which says when you unlock it, this character now will have access to the ability to choose which Epiphany version you get when you get your first Epiphany. This is, I believe, severely underrated by everybody. This is extremely important to have on every character that you're playing, because when you are in combat and you start the roguelike, it's going to help tremendously being able to choose which Epiphany you want to get. Now, if you don't get that node and you go do a roguelike, you will be seeing an Epiphany eventually. You click the card and the game is going to choose a random version of that Epiphany, which may very well be something wrong that you don't need or don't want, or that doesn't enable your build at all. So it's important to pick up that node as soon as possible on every play characters that you want to play, to avoid that and start by immediately choosing a good Epiphany. Oh, I want to do this. And now you not only you're not breaking your character, but you're also immediately starting with a really, really good start. You immediately start with the build, you know? So it's very important to enable that, in my opinion. So that's why is a tip. Now, moving on to the next point is figure out your path on the roguelike. Now, as I said before on my roguelike guide, if you can go check on the channel if you like. Now, briefly explained here as a tip, you really don't want to mess up your pathing in your roguelike. When you go to the roguelike and you will see the minimap with the all different nodes connected with the network, you want to open the map full screen, scroll around, go until the final boss and trace a route. Where do you want to go? How strong you are? I don't know, do you have characters that are like synergistic together? Are you randomly playing some random shit while you're waiting for the good characters to drop? In different cases, you should trace a route that doesn't end in a game over, right? Or if you have a top route that it's extremely scary or super hard because you have multiple fights, very few campfires to heal, a lot of like elite fights, a lot of normal fights, a lot of very, very few campfire, there's a bunch of question marks that could culminate in a hard fight, then in that case, don't pick that one. You know what the problem is? Not every node is connected to other nodes, so you might lock yourself accidentally into a path that is extremely hard because you didn't check later on what happens. So this is a tip, be careful, trace a path that you can take, and if you need an easier path, that's okay, as long as you clear the roguelike and get a good save file, so that can help you in the rest of the game. So the next point would be to use shield to get less stress. Now in the game there is a lot of stress everywhere. All of your characters are gonna be stressed, they're gonna like on the verge of breakdown every time. You know what gives you a lot of stress? Being hit by the monsters, on top of everything else, but the majority of the stress comes from getting hit. Now, you can only heal 5 when you break, and you can heal 5 stress when you are healing on the campfire, which is really low. Maybe they change it, I don't know. But the tip would be like, if you have a shield on you while you get hit, you don't take damage, so you don't get stress. Very simple. So if you are having a hard time with the breakdown and you don't like the mechanic and it's really annoying for you, try to slot in a tank so that you can just protect yourself with the shields. My recommendation would be Magna, for example, or anybody that has crystallization. I believe at the moment the only one that I know about, because I played it and I had her, is Magna. You can have a lot of crystallization with Magna that gives you basically shield reoccurring every turn, and you can scale that more and more and more and more. So every turn you have random shield, 100 shield, 200 shield, and helps a lot, especially with the normal fights. Maybe the elite is gonna break through, but you know, at least you avoided a lot of stress. So keep in mind, shields are going to help you get less stress. Now, the next point would be actually a global card deck builder roguelike point. Now, this tip happens everywhere. The first time I realized this was in Slay the Spire like 10 years ago. This still works as a concept, and that's why I want to put it here. This is a tip that works on every game of this style. The deck size and the draw size. You might think that getting more cards is going to make you better, is going to give you a better deck. That's not necessarily true. It could actually be your downfall. You know why? You can get it. You can get it. Basically, if you have a bigger deck, is not necessarily a good thing, because the draw card is going to be diluted. The draw pool is going to be diluted with random cards that you got around the roguelike. Maybe you bought a lot of neutral cards. Maybe you got a lot of extra secret boss special cards. They're going to dilute your card pool, and now the card that you needed, the punch, the special punch that you needed that was right there usually, now it's not right there anymore. You magically start not drawing it anymore. Where is it? Oh my god, I am so unlucky. Usually I get it all the time. What's happening? Why am I not drawing the ultimate? Where is it? Oh my god, is it all the way over there? I picked all of these random cards and I don't need any. You know why? Because your deck is too big. And sometimes on certain characters that flow a lot with their skills and they want to keep redrawing, it means that your deck is small so they can cycle back, recycle itself really, really fast. This was a proper build in Slay the Spire, which you would basically have a very, very short deck, couple of cards that work very well and work on that, right? In this case, it's very, very, very similar, and I believe it is a thing that it's the game wants you to do, but it's very, you know, it's a little bit niche. It's a little more like pro level, you know, pro level. You can tell by the fact that when you go to the shop, in the campfire, you have an option to delete a card. Why would you delete a card, right? So this brings me to my next point, which is use the deletion of the card to help your deck. It's connected. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the size or how many cards you have, but having a healer with their attack removed is going to help you in the same concept of removing useless cards that you don't want. You can also fine-tune and shave unused cards or cards that are just there to clog and you never play them, and you see them there in your hand and you go like, fuck, why is it there? If it only wasn't there, it could be anything else. It could be a better card. That's where you use the delete card function. Some characters are gonna have random cards that they spawn with because that's the base kit, but you don't need them. Let's say, for example, Nia has a basic attack card. You don't necessarily need that. You might need that if you're speccing her into a more follow-up joint attacker, I guess. Otherwise, you don't really need that. So, if you don't spec into that type of Epiphany build, then you don't need that card, and you can remove it immediately, and it's gonna be better for your deck flow. Now, moving on to the next tip would be to make different saves. Now, when you clear the roguelike, you get a save. You get a save with your weapons, your cards, everything that you did during the run. And you're going to have a certain amount of epiphany, structure, build, okay? So my tip would be to make different type of save files per character. Now, you can easily distinguish different save files, not by just the power, but you can put like stickers on it. You can decorate however you want. You can also put 3 favorites, so it's really easy for you to browse the different save files and see, okay, well, this one is for this one is for this. You can also rename them, so it's really easy. And my tip would be to have different save files depending on the content that you're doing. If you're doing a AoE farm, let's say, you're doing your farming materials for leveling up a character, and the fight is composed by 3 waves of 3 monsters, it's better to have a team and or a character that is epiphany, structured and built with cards or special cards and gear and equip in a way that it's better suited to AoE damage or to do a lot of damage immediately, or multi-attacks or joint attacks or follow-up attacks, so that you can clear faster. Now, this team not necessarily is going to be able to destroy the 1v1 mega boss fight in the endgame. So that's why I feel like you should consider doing multiple save file, one for farming, one for maybe endgame 1, maybe one for endgame 2, you know, so that you can specialize on whatever you're doing, and before every encounter you get prompted to change your save file, so you can just do that immediately, and it's going to be helping you a lot. The last point would be to keep up with the arc. Now, the arc, as I said earlier in the video, is basically your headquarter. Is where you tend to your characters. You can go on dates and increase your affinity and get more, get extra stuff like animated wallpapers, pool currency, and other materials. There's also a part where you can go on a restaurant and order food that helps you with more buffs. You can also go to the research facility to improve your research and get more passives unlocked for streamlining everything. And then there is also a place where you are doing your, I believe your daily is going to also be there. It's the policy place. I forgot how it's called. There's a place where you do the policies, and basically your characters come in with ideas to improve the mood, 4 or 5 different mood types for your population of the arc, and you basically stamp them, the ones like 2 options. Okay, do you want to do this or you want to do this? You do that, boom, and then certain value go up. That's important because at certain thresholds of like X amount of in-game days, not real life, but in-game days, like maybe 2 days IRL, you do a certain amount of policies, and the days go by in-game role-playing days. So eventually you clear the week and they give you rewards, and the rewards can be really, really good. So, and these rewards as an object, they require you to get certain threshold of certain moods. Like, oh, you want for this reward here for the week, you need happiness to 50, and then a law to 50, and then I don't know, like security to 75. So every time you stamp a policy, you're going to check, okay, which one is increasing. So you need to pay attention. Eventually it will be easier and easier because you can get more policies per day, and you sort of learn which one is which and what you need to rush first. So it's going to be easier and easier, but early on, pay attention to it because you're going to miss out on potential extra rewards because of these damn policies. There's also a little bit of a help on the Norn shop, which is another tip, but it's inside this last tip, so it's going to be included in just the arc tip. The Norn shop in the arc is an NPC shop that gives you more tokens for you that you can use to spawn more policies. So you can rush early on the policies and spawn more using this token. Now, the currency that you need for the Norn shop, it's really high early on. They give you like a pack, like a starter pack. And so don't buy random stuff, just buy the Norn tickets and then buy random stuff. You can only buy 35 Norn tickets per week. So after you exhaust those, go buy something else, other materials that you might need, and use those tickets to spawn more policies and rush your deadlines and do very well with your arc management. So that was my last tip. If you have any other tips for any other player, feel free to post a comment below and help everybody. Again, if you have any questions, a comment, or come ask me live at twitch.tv/Jakazin. Thank you for watching and see you next time.